What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
And this week on The Great Debaters, wow, it's Chronic time. Alright, Amir, so today on The Great Debaters, we're going to be talking about The Chronic. But first, everybody should know by now, but if you haven't, please hit that subscribe button, like our content, share it, talk about it, be about it, each one, teach one. We appreciate you guys supporting getting us this far, but we're going for number one. So we need your subscription and we need your continued support. And also, of course, please like and subscribe and share our podcast, Unique Access Entertainment with Soren Baker, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So please subscribe everywhere you can and help promote us so we can keep coming to you guys as often as possible. So Amir, we haven't done The Chronic on The Great Debaters, and today's the day we are. So, obviously, one of our favorite individuals in the music game of Dr. Dre. So what were your first memories getting involved in getting introduced into The Chronic?
It's funny you say one of our favorite, because for me, I think he's my favorite in rap ever. I think...
overall?
Overall, because Ice Cube is my favorite rapper of all time, but I think if I had to choose between rapper Ice Cube being my favorite and producer Dr. Dre being my favorite, if I had to put them up against each other and choose one over the other, I'm going Dre. So Dre is my favorite.
Wow, breaking news on Unique Access Entertainment.
It's the first time Soren's hearing it too, so he's my favorite person in the rap game of all time.
Wow.
So this album being a major reason for that, and we'll see if the people in the comments think I'm wise or ridiculous for that, but it's my opinion. So Dre, The Chronic is actually one of the first albums that I'd ever heard coming into or listening to hip-hop music. Dre, N.W.A, Tupac, Ice Cube, multiple Wu-Tang, N.W.A, like all those people were some of the first people that I ever heard, and this album was huge in the direction of what I started to listen to for hip-hop music. I started off with this and other music, and I just kind of started making other lanes, and this was huge for me. And really, pretty much every song on here is incredible except for The Doctor's Office.
Surprised you didn't like that one, man.
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of that one. But it's not easy, but I'm just going to try and keep it simple here. And I'm going to first off go with Let Me Ride. Let Me Ride is my favorite single on the album. It's actually might be my favorite song on the album. So many good memories just listening to this when I was a kid. This is one of those tracks I remember I burned on all my CDs back in the day. Like, I burned it on CDs, I had it in school, I had it like in the car my parents would drive in. Just all the time I just remember listening to this. And it's just super addictive, excellent chorus. This is one of those albums that I actually want to go and buy like all the samples too, and just see, because I obviously know a lot of the songs that he used, but I haven't heard all those songs in their entirety. So I'd like to go ahead and do that and buy that music. But I think Dr. Dre's Let Me Ride is such a fun song to get into. I mean, how can you not like it? The music video is awesome. Ice Cube's in the music video, so that's also interesting because he's saying damn right it's a good day, but then Dre has the line about mob, but we ain't lynching in the song, so it's like, like what's going on? But that beat is just phenomenal. I mean, it's incredible, and it just reminds me of good times. I mean, the song is great. And also, one thing I want to mention too, we all know the single version and the album version. One thing that's incredible, this might be, I don't know if it's my favorite remix ever, but it's definitely up there. The Let Me Ride remix, where it's like 10 or 11 minutes or whatever it is incredible. And you can tell they're having fun in the studio, and you can hear the guitar in there too, and just, oh my god, that remix, for those who haven't heard that remix and you watch this video, please, it's like the 10-minute version or something like that, or the 11-minute version, the extended remix, amazing. Please do yourself a favor and listen to that. Soren, what's your first pick?
Let Me Ride is also one of my top 3 on The Chronic. Man, the production is flawless, and we'll just leave it like that because there's nothing really else to say on it production-wise. But given that this is a Dr. Dre album, this is also my favorite performance of Dre on the album as a rapper. And I just think the having a little sprinkle of Snoop on the chorus is nice, but I like just Dre is so underrated as a rapper, and he has such a great voice and such a great delivery, and I think people often forget that because he's so acclaimed and, according to Amir and me, the best producer in rap history. He just doesn't get enough shine for when he does rap. And Let Me Ride, I think, is on the Chronic the best Dre performance as a rapper. I just think it's phenomenal. It's so muscular, so smooth at the same time, which is weird, but it's phenomenal. Phenomenal from start to finish. Let Me Ride. So, Amir, what's your second pick?
So, and I also love how Let Me Ride, you get that song, and then you go right into the day the brothers took over, but you hear the drop off from track to track, and even though it's not like the beat is blending, the instrumental isn't blending from track to track, just the way it still drops and goes to the day the brothers took over, it's just incredible exec production on that aspect. It's so good. And then the concepts are just totally different. The song are way different, so that's interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and get into another track here, and that would be These Nuts. And one thing that always tripped me out was the way they spelled it. They just added just extra letters, or extra, of the vowels. I thought that was interesting. So These Nuts was awesome because we hear a very young Warren G on here, and at that time I didn't know who he was going to become. I'm sure in '92 a lot of people didn't even know who that was, so that was very intriguing. But we hear him on These Nuts, and the phone call was always funny because it's what the heck's this about? And it comes after Nothing But a G Thing, but he's talking on the phone, he's telling his joke, and the girl gets annoyed, and then you hear the person saying, if you have nuts on the wall, those walnuts. I'm like, what the hell is this freaking song? But then that beat, dude, when that beat comes in, for me, that's top 3 beat on the album for sure. I think this instrumental is incredible. I think it's amazing. And we hear Daz on the song too. And as good as the beat is, my favorite part's the Nate Dogg, dude. So we always hear about Nate Dogg, and as we should, because he's my favorite person ever on choruses. I don't think that's a hot take. I mean, I think that's kind of a hip-hop fact at this point. But aside from that, though, he doesn't really have a chorus here. He just does the outro. So when you hear all these lists of people compiling Nate Dogg features and stuff, you don't really hear them talk about These Nuts because they're usually just talking about choruses. But if you listen to how he's singing, how he is over this beat, it's magic, man. I mean, These Nuts, what he does on this track is so good.
It's similar to Be Please with the Snoop Dogg and Xzibit and Dr. Dre.
Yes.
Coming in at the end.
That's an amazing... Oh, that's such a good song. Okay, but then after he finishes, then you just hear the beat ride out for an extra minute, because it's a Dre beat. Where are you going? We're just chilling, listening to this amazing, incredible song, and that instrumental is really one of my favorites. I can just listen to that one on repeat, if I'm being honest with you. It's that great, and These Nuts, it just has to get some shine for me in the top 3.
That's also one of my picks.
I'm shocked.
Because of the comedy that kicks it off with the skit.
Nice.
But then the beat, and Nate Dogg in particular, I was always intrigued because most people, to your point, kind of don't mention These Nuts as a great Nate Dogg performance, but I think it's also because people probably don't understand that is These Nuts. It's not just the skit, it's the song afterwards too, so they might get it confused or they might not understand what's going on. I don't really know, but that was always my guess and my assumption. And to have singing on here, which is so anti N.W.A in particular, and anti what we get on a lot of the rest of the album, and for Nate Dogg to be so dope, is just kind of crazy to me. We do hear singing throughout the Chronic, of course, with Jewel and different things that come in, and even Let Me Ride is the sample singing and stuff. But Nate Dogg obviously puts his signature twist and makes it so distinctive that it really, really stands out. And it's just one of those things where you have much of the Chronic has the posse cut element to it, and this is another one, and I think they do a great job of it. So These Nuts, the two sections of it I think are hilarious. So definitely one of my top two. So Amir, what's your third pick for The Chronic?
I'm very happy that's one of your picks because I was not expecting that. It's so good though. I mean, you can really pick, like I said, any song except for like The Doctor's Office or The Roach. I mean, is has to be in the rotation, particularly Doctor's Office. But it's a skit, you know. Okay. Next up, this is pretty tough. I wanted to go with like Nothing But a G Thing, but I'm just not gonna. I mean, that's a top fiver for me, but I can't do it. Like, even tracks that I feel like no one talks about, like Rat-a-tat-tat, I think that song is phenomenal. Dude, bro, the production on Rat-a-tat-tat is insane. The way the beat comes in, we can talk about every song on this and have an hour episode, but I don't think we want to do that for this episode. So let's go ahead and get into Lyrical Gangbang. And I mean, that beat is every track you can just say, oh, that beat, right? But on that one, when you hear the person saying this should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential area, I'm like, okay, what are we about to get into? And then the next second, boom, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is. And we've talked about this in other videos, and this is just another reason why Dre is the GOAT. And I don't like entertaining that. I don't like entertaining people who disagree on that. We can talk about rappers and stuff and who's better, whatever, but the Dre thing, I'm just like, please, just give it a rest. It's him. Go ahead and pick up any other album from 1992 and put it up with The Chronic and listen to the disparity of what will happen after you listen to The Chronic.
It's gargantuan.
It's wild. Go listen to Brothers for Life by N.W.A. and then put up another album from 91. It's insane. Then you can go on and on and on with other stuff he's produced. It's just... So, anyways, to say Lyrical Gangbang, first you get that. And the reason why I like Lyrical Gangbang so much is because, well, at this time when I was listening to rap music, anytime I saw a person on a song or their album, I expected them to be on every song of the album. That's just what I expected. So, at this point in my, like, listening lifetime, when I was like, I don't hear Dre on this song. Where is he? And I'm just like, what the heck? And then it happened on other songs on the album too, so I was like kind of confused. But then I'm like, okay, well, let's see how these other people show up. Well, Lady Rage, amazing. Love her music. We get Corrupt, which ends up being one of my favorite rappers ever and one of the most underrated, craziest, dopest freestyler ever. And I'm so happy we hear him on The Chronic and later Doggy Style, etc. Then we get RBX, who comes in. I'm just like, bro, like, you're just getting all these people. And it's funny because a lot of these people, they wouldn't have been, like, more household names if it wasn't for The Chronic. Like, these are kind of like, I don't want to say underground rappers or anything like that, but they didn't have, like, these crazy careers like some people. Like, I don't see them in all these top 10s as I think, or top lists as I think some of them deserve, right? But and then you see this album that went multi-platinum, and it's just like they they did such a good job, like RBX, Corrupt, Rage, I mean, and then you get Snoop's contributions throughout the album, and Daz's, and it's just, this song is definitely an easy one to play. It's a great posse track. I think Stranded on Death Row is another great one. I mean, we can keep talking, but Lyrical Gangbang is definitely one of the best ones, and I love this song.
Lyrical Gangbang is actually my third pick as well.
Damn.
The Dre not being on it is such a anomaly, especially at this time in the game. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Amir, because I had the same thing. I kept thinking, like, man, did I miss Dre on the song? Like, what's going on here? But that just ended up being what it is. Rage, I think, just showed a different element of female MCing that we hadn't seen over Dre beats, because, you know, JJ Fad over Dre beats and then Lady Rage over Dre beats, not the same thing, just because their stylistic differences are so dramatic. Then you hear Corrupt just unleashing these haymakers, like, oh my god. And then RBX hadn't settled into his more menacing thing. He was much more aggressive on Lyrical Gangbang, to me at least, in a different way, like more intensity vocally, as opposed to more evil and sinister vocally. So it was just amazing to me. And it's also one of the best beats. It's super hard, the drums, and this is something that, you know, we talk about a lot. The sonics of the album, shout out to Christopher Love Taylor, of course, who I've interviewed. You guys can check the link there. But, you know, the mixing on this album is pristine and magical. And it's one of the many reasons why The Chronic is so phenomenal. And Lyrical Gangbang, I think, is one of the great examples. All the songs Amir and I have discussed are also great examples of that. But the bottom line is The Chronic just shines from start to finish, and it's just great. It's great on every level. And I think too, it's not a very political album, of course, but the day the brothers took over, Little Ghetto Boy, there are some political elements to the album that I think people also forget. Neither one of those are, in my opinion, one of the better songs, but to discount their being there, I think, is a mistake, and it shows the range lyrically and sonically that The Chronic delivers that I think a lot of people kind of gloss over for whatever reason. And I think we also gloss over the fact people use this as where G-Funk exploded and G-Funk became, you know, the popular juggernaut that it remains really today. But a lot of the album is not G-Funk. It's super hard and super drum driven and super not G-Funked out. So anyway, I just want to say all that. So you guys got my 3 picks. Please hit us up in that comment section. Let us know what you guys think. What are your favorite 3 picks on The Chronic? And of course, also down there, please hit that subscribe button to help us keep growing here on Unique Access Entertainment. I'm Soren Baker.
I'm here, Rahimi.
The Chronic, a masterpiece, of course.
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on your TV Raps with N.W.A.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.